Hello everyone, welcome to Newton Spectra Extramural Academy channel. This channel is created to assist the elementary and secondary school students in learning various concepts in basic mathematics, physics and other science related subjects. So in today's video, we are going to continue on the explanation of concept of algebra in relation to equation. This is to assist every learner to understand the basic foundation of algebra in relation to several kinds of equations. So, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe, like, comment and share. Also, don't forget to press the notification button to see every new video we'll be dropping on this channel. So let's get started. Introduction to equation. So, in today's class, we are going to adopt the following vocabularies: algebra, branch, equation, variable, terms, constant, etc. So our instructional resources are YouTube, Google, textbook and smartboard. So we are still going to continue to adopt the explanatory, discussion and demonstration method using charts. Our pupils are familiar with equation in their daily activities. So at the end of this lesson, every learner should be able to define equation, list and explain the types of equation, list and explain all the terms in equations, state the real-life applications of equation. What is equation? An equation is a mathematical statement that shows equality between two expressions from the left to the right. An equation is a mathematical sentence that has two equal sides separated by an equal sign. So we have this expression here: 4 plus 6 equals to 10. 4 plus 6 is an expression. 10 is an expression. So we have two expressions in this case, now separated with a sign of equality. So immediately we have our equality sign, then it changes to equation. Now we can see on the left side of the equal sign plus 4 and 6, and on the right hand side we have equal sign and we also have 10. So this makes an equation. And now we also have 2x minus 4 equals to 14. This expression 2x minus 4 equals to 14 is an equation. Now every equation is called equation because they have two different expressions separated with an equality sign, two different expressions on the right hand side and on the left hand side separated with a sign of equality. Now they are called equations. Also, we need to recall from our previous class that we talked about some signs that are mostly used in algebra. We mentioned subtraction, multiplication, addition and division. All these signs, they are very important in algebra and in solving any question on equation. They are the one that define a mathematical statement. Now let's take a look at this expression. This shape here is called square, and we know that square has an equal side. Now if our side is named y, now we know that if one side is y, the other side will be y, and we have an equation, mathematical formula in solving the area and the perimeter of a square. So we can express our value for length to be y because we were given y in this expression. In this case we have y times y will give us y square. Now having only y times y without an equality sign is just an expression. Now immediately we have area equals to y times y, then it turns an equation. So the same thing applicable to the perimeter. We have length plus length plus length, because perimeter of a square is the sum of all the sides. So we have y plus y plus y plus y is an expression. So immediately we have our equality sign, p equals to 4y, then it turns an equation. So if y represents the value of one side of a square, since a square has equal sides, therefore all the remaining sides will be y. So we have y plus y plus y plus y, and that is 4y. Now note that y plus y plus y plus y and p is an expression. The sign equal sign connects the two expressions to form an equation. Now we have algebraic expression. Algebraic expression is an expression which is made up of various variables and constants, along with algebraic operations, subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, etc. Now we have an example here. We have 3x plus 4y minus 7. This is an expression. We also have 4x minus 10 is also another word expression. Now we have several types of expression. There are mainly three types of algebraic expression. We have monomial expression, binomial expression, polynomial expression. Now other kinds of expression that we have is numeric expression. In numeric expression, there is nothing like letters in numeric expression. For instance, we can have 2 plus 3 equals 5. That is an equation. But if we have 2 plus 3, that is an expression. For instance, I can say 2 kilogram of salt is equals to 2000 gram of salt. Now immediately I have equals to, I have turned it to an equation. But if I say 2 kilogram of salt plus 2000 gram of salt, that is an expression. Now if I want to show the equality between 2 kilogram of salt and 2000 gram of salt, then I have to impute my equality sign. Now let's talk about the expression one after the other. Mono means one. A monomial expression is an expression that consists of only one term. It only has one term. And what do we mean by one term? For instance, we have 3x without any operation to have another term with it. We can say 3x. That is one term. We can also have 3xy. That is another one term. Now we also have binomial expression. In binomial expression, it consists of two different terms which are unlike. For instance, I can have 5x plus 8. Now I have 5x one term, 8 another term, joining together by an operation plus. It makes it two terms, and that is binomial expression. You can also have xy minus z. That is binomial expression. Now we have polynomial expression. Polynomial expression is an expression that consists of two or more terms with non-negative integral exponential or variable. It consists of two or more terms. For instance, I can have 2x plus by plus ca. 2x is one term, by is another term, ca is another term, making three terms, and it can be more than three for polynomial expression. Now we have numeric expression. Numeric expression consists of only numbers and operations, but it does not have any letter called variable. For instance, you can have 5 plus 8. That is a numeric expression. 5 can stand for the age of a brother, and 8 can stand for the age of a sister. Or 5 can stand for the number of students in a class, maybe grade 1, and 8 can stand for a number of students in grade 2. So if you now want to know the total number of the students in a class, that is when you have what? An equality sign. So you have 5 plus 8, and that's going to give you 13. That will be 5 plus 8 equal 13. That's it has turned to what? Equality expression, which is called equation. It has turned to equation. Now, what is term? Term is defined as the value on which mathematical operations occur in an algebraic expression. Now, let me give you an instance. We have ax. Ax is a term. 3 is a term, as we mentioned earlier. So combination of terms forms expression. Types of term. There are two kinds of terms in algebra, and these are like terms and unlike terms. Now, like terms are those terms whose variable and exponent power are the same. Like terms are those terms whose variables and exponent power are the same. For instance, ax plus ax, that is like terms. If you want to add them together now, you have 2 in bracket ax close brackets. So if you want to open the bracket now, you have your what? Your ax plus ax. That's, you have 2 different ax. That is like terms, and you can add them together. You can also have 2x plus 2x. That will give you what? 4x. That is like terms. Now, unlike terms are those what? Terms whose variables and their exponents are different from each other. So they cannot be simplified. That is, they cannot be added together. For instance, I can have 5x plus 8y. That is 5 rice plus 8 beans. Rice is different from beans, unlike 2x plus 2x, which is 2 rice plus 2 rice. We can combine it together. So when we now have 5 rice and 5 beans, they are unlike terms. So you cannot add them together. You cannot simplify that. Now, what is variable? Variable is a quantity that can be changed and is not fixed. Variables are essential as they form a major algebraic component. Now, to express an unknown integer, we use any letter of our choice from A to Z. But the most common variable in mathematics is x, y, z. Now, if you want to choose any letter of your choice, you need to be very careful with the kind of what of letters that you choose. For instance, like letter I could look like 1, letter O could look like 0. So that is why we prefer to use x, y, z as the variable or letter in mathematics. So we have types of variables. Basically, we have 2 types of variable. The first one is dependent variable. The second one is independent variable. Now, dependent variable is a variable whose value is determined by quantity that another value takes. Example of this, when we have y equals to 2x minus 3, y equals to 2x minus 3, x can take any value, either 1, 2, 3, 4, but y depend on the value of x to take a definition. Now, independent variables. Independent variable is a variable whose value are unaffected by any change. Example of this, when we have y equals to 2x minus 3, the value of x is related to the value of y. Thus, x is an independent variable. What is constant? In algebra, constant is a fixed value that does not change. A constant has a known value. For instance, if you have y equals to 2x minus 3, here your constant is 3. It stands alone and it doesn't have any variables. What is coefficient? Coefficient is the number that precedes a term or variable. Coefficient is a number that precedes a term or variable. For instance, when we have 2x, your coefficient here is 2. Now, when you just have only x, definitely your coefficient is 1, because in a case whereby you have x plus x, your answer is going to be 2x. You won't be surprised, where is my 1? Note that when you have single variable, the single variable always have invisible coefficient, which is 1. Invisible coefficient, which is 1. Now, this is an expression, an equation expression. Now, 2 is our coefficient, x is our variable. Now, we can have different kind of operator. It could be plus, it could be minus, it could be division, multiplication, and you have your constant 5 and 13. Now 2x is one term, 2x is one term, 5 is another term, 13 is another term. So in this case now we're having 3 terms to form an expression. Now what makes it an equation is the sign of equality between the 2x minus 5, one expression, and 3 and 13, which is another expression. So combination of them with this sign of equality makes it an equation. Now we have this chart here. This chart shows the difference between expression and equation and the similarity between expression and equation. For expression, no equal sign, and it cannot be solved unless a given variable is applied. Now for equation has equality sign, and we solve for variables in equation. Now the similarity between equation and expression is that they both has an operation. They both has number. So two of them, they have numbers and operation. That's the similarity between them. So we also have it here, true for all value of x, common case term, simplify. So if you hear simplify, expand, factorize, that means they're talking about what? Expression. So when you hear solve, they're talking about what? Equation. Now, types of equation. There are different types of equation. The one we have are linear equation, quadratic equation, cubic equation, quartic equation, radical equation, rational equation, differential equation, and parametric equation. Now we have our chart. We have the equation. We can see we have linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, radical, differential, rational, and parametric equation. What is linear equation? Linear equation is either a constant or single variable or product of constant. The general form of linear equation with two variables is given by y equals to mx plus c, where m is never 0. M is never equals to what? To 0. And linear equation is always an equation on a straight line. Even when you plot a graph, it will always give you a straight line graph. Now, how can we identify linear equation? How can we identify linear equation? The x should be the only variable you see other than the y. Now, linear equation could be one variable, two variables, three variables, of which we are still going to discuss in our next class. Equation with two or three variables can be solved using different method. Quadratic equation. Quadratic equation is a second order equation in which any one of the variable contain an exponent of 2. The general form of the quadratic equation is ax raised to power 2 plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is never equals to what? To 0. So we have this expression. Your coefficient for exponential 2 is 5. Your coefficient for y is minus 5, and your c, which is constant, is minus 35. And this is the expression for quadratic equation. We have several methods in solving quadratic equation as well, which we are going to discuss in our next class. Cubic equation. The next type of equation is cubic equation, and this is an expression for cubic equation. Differential equation is an equation that shows the functional relationship between an independent variable and consecutive value or consecutive differences of the dependent variables. So we have this expression for differential equation. So we have different methods in solving this as well. Rational equation. Now, if you take a polynomial and divide it by another polynomial, you will have your rational equation. You can say that rational equation is the fraction of two polynomials. For instance, we can have 4x raised to power 2 plus 3 divided by x plus 5 equals 0. Now, this is an expression for rational equation. We also have radical equation. Radical equation. Our last common equation is the radical equation, which is an equation that involves the radical symbol. It's an equation that involves the what? The radical symbol. So an equation with a square root is a radical equation. An equation with a square root is a radical equation. So this is an expression for radical equation. You have square root of 3x minus 4 equals to square root of 2x plus 9. This is a radical equation. Now, parametric equation. Parametric equation is a type of equation that employs an independent variable called a parameter, often denoted by letter t, small letter t, and in which dependent variables are defined as continuous function of the parameter, and they are not dependent on another existing variable. More than one parameter can be employed when necessary. For instance, instead of the equation when we have y equals to x raised to power 2, which is in Cartesian form, the same equation that we have here can be described as a pair of equations in parametric form. That is, we take x to be equals to t. Therefore, our y now will be equals to t raised to power 2. This is an expression for parametric equation. This expression shows parametric equation and vectors representing your value. Now, given that where a, b, c represent the slope in the parametric equation and a, b, c are constant. So, real life application of equation. The following are some of the examples in which application of linear equation are used in real life. So, linear equation can be used to solve age-related problem. It is used to calculate speed, distance, and time of a moving object. It can also be used in geometry. Related problem can be solved using equation. It is used to calculate money, percentage, related problem, etc., etc. Work, time, and wages problem can be solved using equation. Problem based on force and pressure can be solved using equation. So we cannot do with our daily activities without using equation. So we cannot do without using equation in our daily activities. So whether you are a commercial student or an art student, you need the knowledge of equation. So watch out for the next class. The next class now we are going to start with linear equation. We are going to start with what? With linear equation, how to solve linear equation, then we proceed to simultaneous equation, and we are going to discuss all the methods used in solving simultaneous equation, substitution method, elimination method, graphical method. We are going to talk about all the methods used in solving simultaneous equation. So see you in our next class. Thank you.